We've got your last chance to win tickets to see the Abbott Brothers and Trampled by Turtles this Thursday at XL Energy Center. Right now, don't miss your chance to see this co-headline show by two of the best in folk music. Call 800-320-5326 this Thursday, as in tonight.
All right, so a couple of things. Normally in the last segment we would have gotten to it, but we didn't. So we'll just do it now quickly. Wild news brought to you by our friends at Catalyst Supply and CatalystSupplyCo.com. We love Catalyst. The wild news basically is they are still undefeated in regulation, 4-0-2, and they are at the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight at 6 o'clock. So the Wild and Gustafson on fire through 6, one of the better teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
Zachary, Tampa Bay, you say, is the real deal as well at 4-2.
Yeah, they're very good. I think they just whooped on the old Canes the other night. So the catalyst of the game, by the way, on Tuesday, Jake Middleton. I don't know if we mentioned that yesterday, but Tom Reed's catalyst of the game.
Jake Middleton.
We'll find out tomorrow morning. I mean, this is a big Minnesota sports night between how many times the Wild, the Vikings, and the Wolves all play at the same time.
Yeah, that's sick.
So get those multi-screens out. Wheel in another TV or two, Sauce. It's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, go sit on your patio with a gazebo TV the size of a Nintendo Switch and watch the game.
I will.
All-timer.
That's Creasel.
It's your top 3 bit you've ever done, Cor. It's so good.
That's not saying much for me.
Tom Reed, you brought him up? Phenomenal bar. God, that bar bangs.
The best. I'll probably be there Saturday night.
God, it's fun. You ever been?
Oh, it's great.
It's great.
Downtown St. Paul. Love it.
Why will you be there, Zach?
Gophers are playing at the X on Saturday night against
Gophers.
Who are they playing?
St. Thomas, University of St. Thomas. So the Tommies are actually the home team hosting the Gophers over there because they play in the St. Thomas Academy home rink still while they figure out that new barn in St. Paul. So
right on. Let's talk Gophers in Maryland. Normally this would be the news, and normally it would be brought to you by our friends at Carboni's. Thanks, Carboni's.
I spent the last 2 days preparing for this news segment. We're not even going to do it.
Nope. Thrown it away.
Unbelievable.
By the way, I appreciate you getting up-to-date news on Tuesday, gathered for a Thursday morning news segment.
A little late.
Thank you. The Wild.
Thanks to Carboni's, though. So, all right, fellas.
Yeah.
When the schedule came out and we saw USC and UCLA, we're like, oh, man, the Big Ten's getting bigger. This is going to be bad news for the Gophers. And maybe long-term it will be that these West Coast teams get better and better, and then we're in trouble down the road. But for now, you beat, at the time, number 11 USC, and you took advantage of a bad UCLA team. Record-wise, we had people like you guys and Mike Grimm and Gurzy say, UCLA's not as bad as their record. Well, they're also not very good.
Yeah.
Right? They might not be like 1-90, but they're still not very good.
Yep.
But you beat them, and you beat them on the road. Both teams now 4-3, the Gophers and Maryland. Maryland had the big comeback also against USC.
Yeah.
Give us the pros and cons of Maryland. What are the Gophers facing on Saturday?
Well, the Gophers are facing a team that I think is always dangerous. The athletes that you get in that Maryland area, when you go the Maryland, Virginia area, when you go through their starting lineup, probably half the kids are kind of home state kids. They're twitchy, they're long, and they've had 3 I'd call pretty tough Big Ten losses. So their Michigan State isn't as bad as we thought, and they actually had a game where they sleepwalked versus Northwestern. But outside of that, they're a good team. And when you look at within their team, that what they do really, really well is they pass the football well. Ooh. So again, their strength offensively, which they're the number 9 team in the country passing number 9.
Oh, good for
We're
them.
now the number 4 pass defense. So something has to give what I think gives in that matchup is they have 5 first-year starters on the offensive line, and they've done a good job holding him up and giving their quarterback time. Their quarterback is the only quarterback in the country this year. In every single game, he's thrown for 250 yards passing.
Oh, that's their offense.
Yeah, that's their offense. And they actually have a pretty good running back, but it's a pass-first offense.
Is it like a spread, or is it more pro style?
A little bit more of a spread, and they have one wide receiver who's kind of the go-to guy. So from a scheme standpoint, I think their strength and our strength kind of marry up. And then on the other side of the ball, their defense is, I'd say, below average, but overall, but pretty good against the run. Oh. So for us this week, I think you're gonna, and I think Meat Sauce said it earlier today, you're gonna have to trust your quarterback, and you're gonna have to move the chains probably more through the air. And, Max, I know we don't believe in momentum around here, but Max had great momentum
Thanks.
since the
last three
games.
Unbelievable.
Right? So hopefully during the bye week, you just shored some things up. You did some self-scouting.
Keep 'em going.
But I think the big thing in this game is, defensively, like we got a lot to handle. They have a great passing offense, and I know we got a great pass D, but this is going to be a true test. Mm-hmm. And then offensively against their D, like it's going to be tough to run the football. So we got to go through the air. And so I like the matchup, but this is going to, I think people are like, what great momentum, 2 wins in a row. We should have beat Michigan, should be 3 wins in a row. This is a good Maryland team. And so don't take them lightly. This is a game where it's going to be back and forth, and it's going to take a big effort after a bye week, a big effort to get back on the field and kind of bring momentum back into the program. It's a homecoming game, mid-afternoon, great weather. But it's not a sleepwalker game. You got to be ready to play.
Yeah, the one thing that jumped out what you said is there are 5 starters, 5 new starters.
5
on
new
the
starters.
line.
Yeah.
So we have to get home. So if we bring pressure, that seems like a good area to kind of pick on them, and then Coy gets 2 more picks or something.
I have found when the defense, if I go back and watch the Big Ten play, especially it started in that Iowa game. I think this defense is by far at their best when they are bringing pressure. With a lead, if they're behind, like the constant pressure of a quarterback. And I think that you would think that puts too much pressure on your defensive backs. When we sit back, they find space in our defense, and a good quarterback like they'll see this week, if you give him some time, he's going to find open receivers. I would bring a ton of pressure this week. I'd bring pressure early, try to get a big lead and jump on these guys. And that's,
I love it.
And that's the thing. When you self-scout and dissect where the program has maybe gone wrong a bit this season, it's the slow starts. It's the slow start at Michigan, UCLA. The last time we played, that was a slow start. Mm-hmm. So something you got to change within the program to get the guys coming out hot. And one of the things that PJ usually does.
Can I ask you guys a question? You guys both play football. How much of that is coincidental, though? Because right now, the opposite's happening with the Vikings, right? Is they're dominating the first quarter. It's something like 58-3 so far this year, right? How much of that is just there's nothing you can do? Your team can be completely amped. You got all the talent in the world. For whatever reason, the first quarter is just slow, or the third quarter is slow. Is that coincidental, or is there seriously something that can be fixed and changed?
I think it's a bit of a mindset. I think it's a bit of a scheme. I think conservative play calling, conservative defensive schemes. So that's where I'm like, I'm going to get after their quarterback right away. Try to create a turnover, try to get a 3 and out and a big stop and get great field position.
A little more gamble.
Yeah, a little bit more gamble early than sitting back and kind of trading punch for punch. So a bit of it is I think, scheme related. A bit of it also is a mindset with your team. Like, you got to come out ready to go. And and again, NFL is a bit different than college, right? These are 18 to 22-year-old young men that were trying to fight through midterm exams and girlfriends and social life. So how do you get these guys to rally to, my coach used to always say, come out of the box hot. You got to be ready to go right out of the gates. Because that first 5 minutes can really set the tone.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I think a play early always kind of does something. But, I think at this point in the season, everyone's in their routine now. You've gone to the hotel. Your routine in the morning. So, you start to realize what works for you and what doesn't. I think earlier on in the season, you start to see more of it like we have. I think by now, we'll be a little bit more established. Okay, let's get this rolling. We know what we have to do. It's just a big play on special teams. We'll light up a whole team. I just always used to think special teams was that they had the power to influence the vibe of the game. And but I think they do. I truly do. And I just
a little bit less so. The kicking games have gotten so freaking good that it's almost removed kickoffs from football. So the opening kickoff, which used to be such a big play in football,
that was massive.
Now it's fair cut. All right, but ball's at the 25, right? So that's changed it a bit.
But we used to love kickoff return just
totally.
for that, just because you could set the tone and that was so much fun. So I think early on in the game, if your team is down, that's a good way to get back into it. But they should be rested, ready to go. And Pete, that is one good thing about PJ. He usually does a good job, and now he's probably learning with his team how to do it a little bit better. So hopefully they do come up.
And one of the things he did different, he talked about it in his media conference this week, his press conference. He in a bye week, you typically get the guys back when you get in your regular scheduled program, which is a Tuesday practice. They went out and practiced on Sunday night to kind of wake them up from the break. And I do think they're also trying to find different things in their week to kind of amp the kids up to get them ready.
Imagine being those guys on a Sunday.
Oh, can you imagine Sunday night, 6:30 kickoff for practice? Because the whole Sunday, you've really had kind of more of a walkthrough.
Right.
And you're coming off of 2 weeks of kind of...
All you want to do is sit there and watch episode 5 of The Penguin, and then coach says, like, you have to practice. And you're like, no, I got to watch it at 11 o'clock at night. I got class tomorrow. Give me one group of players, a position group, that makes you believe that the Gophers are going to win on Saturday? And if we lose, what's the group that probably costs us?
I think the group that helps us win this game is the defensive line. I think with a good quarterback coming on the road who's had, again, 7 consecutive games, over 250 yards. He had an epic game last week against USC in a big comeback. You got to bring him pressure. So I think Ja Joyner off the edge, Anthony Smith in the middle. Those guys find ways to get pressure on a quarterback, probably bring some Brits with Cody Lindenberg. So I think that's the group, the defensive line, that helps us win it. The thing that we've liked and we've hated, especially over the last 3 to 4 weeks, is that offensive line. So that offensive line is going to have to find a way to give Max Brosmer some time. That's secondary for Maryland, all brand new guys as well.
Oh, wow.
So they've struggled, again, against the pass. They've been really strong up front against the run. That offensive line is going to have to pass protect for Max.
I love it. I mean, it's hard to argue what you just said, but if Darius needs to kind of take over, I think he needs a big game.
Be tough against this. This is a good run defense. It's gonna be tough for him.
Not necessarily, right?
Out of the backfield like he did on that game-winning touchdown.
I think that's our running game now, because we do kind of struggle to establish the offensive line that we've been so used to the past 10 years here. So having him come out of the backfield for 6 is just as good as a run play. So I'm fine with that if he does that all game.
Yeah.
But I mean, we need Dragon to kind of get back,
What is the spread here? We got a field goal spread? 4?
4.
So Dragon's going to be big in this week.
Yeah.
This is a game that I do believe will go back and forth. I think the difference in this game late is I think the Minnesota defense makes enough stops. But this will be a Maryland team that's down by a possession with the football, driving late, and you get a Coy Parrish interception to seal it. It's Minnesota 27, Maryland 23.
Just, am I too far away from saying this? I said this earlier. If Coy stays on the trajectory he's on right now, he could be a first-team All-American this year. On the trajectory he's on right now.
He possibly. I mean,
Because he's done everything.
Well, a lot of it's based on statistics. He's got 4 picks. I haven't looked at the nation leaders in picks, but he's asked to be near the top.
He's number 2.
So is he number 2? Mm-hmm. So he keeps having interceptions. I mean, it's such a statistics.
Yeah.
Stat.
And the
plus the play. And there's splash plays. I mean, the interception against UCLA, the diving interception is just huge. So
but he makes so many plays. I think that's he could be Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
Why not?
God. Let's walk Meat Sauce through Saturday. So first of all, Meat Sauce gets there to Vegas. He checks in. Yeah. But Friday night, he's checking. He's going to stay up late because we just have to talk about this just briefly. USC is hosting Rutgers on Friday night. It's 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time start for Rutgers.
Think of that.
Yeah.
That's hideous.
So they'll be 2 a.m. done.
3 a.m. done. Oh my! It's USC. They throw the football every single play.
Oh, then they got to fly home. Think of their next 2 days.
They'll get home at noon.
Oh,
so this is just interesting to think about the expanded Big Ten, and everyone's excited to have it. Those poor student athletes.
This is the one we've always thought about.
This is the one that everyone's talked about. What happens when you get that far away game and it's a night kick? So that's the Friday night. But then
think of their equipment bus.
Oh,
that's a 24-hour haul.
Yeah. At least. So then you wake up Saturday if you do go to bed and then you wake up and you have Indiana. There's 2 big games right away. You have Notre Dame, number 12 in the country, at MetLife Stadium against undefeated and number 24 Navy. This is a Navy team that plays that triple option. They play some spread. This is one of those games where in the 20-hour rule of college football, you cannot prepare for this. They do too many things. And I love the pick that Meat Sauce mentioned off air. Notre Dame, I love Navy. Is it plus 14 now?
I think it's 14, yeah.
So that's an amazing game to watch.
14?
Yeah.
Game days at Indiana.
So sick. God, that's cool.
Indiana, their starting quarterback goes down, but the backup guy's pretty good too. He was the starter a year ago. Indiana 6.5, college game day, undefeated, outside chance if this thing plays out the way it could.
It's a 9 a.m. game for those kids from Washington. 9 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana hammer that one.
Yeah.
So they're waking up
Hammer
at
Indiana,
5 their time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you get to the mid-afternoon games, which is about noon in Vegas. Number 20, Illinois, traveling west to number 1, Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon in a route.
In a route.
Yep.
And then the night games, Penn State, number 3, at Wisconsin. I mean, I think Penn State, I'm not a huge believer. At number 3 in the country, Wisconsin, I think, has some momentum, just blew out Northwestern. And then Lieber's Kansas State team host Kansas.
10-point
Kansas
favorites.
is falling apart.
Kansas State is a 10-point favorite.
One team from the Big 12 will get into the college football playoff, the championship winner. So Kansas State kind of battling BYU, battling Iowa State. And then our game of the week, Lieber is taking number 8 LSU plus 2.5 at the 12th man, number 14 Texas A&M.
That's a good game.
Yeah, it's a night game, right?
What?
Yeah.
What's Illinois line? Sorry.
Illinois is
That's a lot
21.
of points. That's a
They're
lot
plus
of
21.
I'm hammering Illinois. That's the biggest lock I've ever heard in my life.
I know.
Really?
With Bielema,
It's just
guaranteed
so
lock.
many points, dude.
They might win straight up.
They're not. I'll take that. If you want to bet that Oregon will lose to Illinois straight up, I'll bet you whatever you want.
I kind of want to.
Bet it.
Will you give me the 21 points?
I'll give you the 21 points. Yeah.
Actually,
Yes.
Take it.
throw a C note on it.
In.
Dude.
Done. Book it.
Yeah.
Fly me home and roll a sandwich. How about that?
Which one?
The Italian.
The Italian.
So we got a big week. We got a big weekend.
Score prediction: Gophers, Maryland.
Gophers 27, Maryland 23. Again,
This is going to be
Maryland has a football late. Minnesota makes a big play. I think it's a Coy Parrish kind of center field interception.
And we cover.
Yeah, we cover. It's going to be a great game. So it's one of those games. Get there early. Should
be
be
fantastic.
Fantastic weather. Tommy
We have
mentioned
another
it.
game with Parrish with the Coy Parrish
crazy.
ceiling interception. Then we have a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, this is too many.
Has anyone started like the koi pond? Like that's his area? That's nasty.
Why don't you make that lot 38 or whatever it is?
Yeah, lot
That's the
37.
Koi Pond.
The Koi Pond.
37.
It's Coy Wonder. That's the nickname.
Koi
That's
Wonder.
pretty good.
Koi
Koi
Wonder.
Wonder is pretty
Is
good.
Koi short for something, or is that just his
His name.
full name? It's a cool name.
Yeah, cool name.
Yeah.
I do think Koi's one of those names where if you're him, it's super cool. If you're like me in high school, you're like, oh, cool.
There's koi.
There's Koi. He gets his
Parents are
books
trying
and
too
bash. Well, Koi Cove sounds like somebody with speech impediments trying to say my name anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant.
Totally.
Flash, you're the best, dude. Thanks.
All right, guys, go Vikes.
That's Justin Gonzemius to Fargo Flash. Tommy, you got to go, or can you stick around for one more?
I can do one more.
All right, Tommy can do one more. Then Justin Guards joining shortly. Tom Pelissero to talk Vikes and NFL in like 20 minutes. Parker Fox later. Power Trip Morning Show fan.
Time for the Vikings report. Thanks, Ivy.
Time now for the Vikings Report, presented by Hy-Vee, the official grocery partner of the Minnesota Vikings. Linebacker Jonathan Grenard joins the power trip next, thanks to Hy-Vee.
It's throwback time, man. A Gurdsy Thursday was a staple.
Yeah, this is the best. This is how it all started.
It used to be a staple, and then he went and had about 1 billion kids, and now his schedule's different.
Yeah,
He's got
Just, do you
1,000
remember
jobs
that?
and 1,000 kids.
Just, you broke me in on here. You know that?
You're welcome. I've launched a lot of careers here.
You did?
Yeah, I've launched a lot of careers.
Thank you.
You're the only one I had any familiarity with.
You're
on
right.
it.
And I said Tommy Olsen will be okay, and boy was I wrong on that. I haven't hit. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Yeah, I remember you singing "Low Places"
That was the best.
right where meat sauce is. I think I remember it.
Sure.
And look, the one who was a weekly guest before you, Brock Vereen or whatever, right?
Yeah, look at him now.
He's like big time broadcaster guy.
He's Hollywood. Who was before him? Do you remember?
I think he was the first.
I think he was
Yeah.
the first. And
Yeah.
we tried
First?
Peter Mortel. Is that how you
Mortel.
say his name?
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
was on one time after you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he died.
What?
Yeah, he passed.
He passed away?
He passed away.
He would have been incredible. He would have been good.
Yeah, he'd been
Well,
good.
we've only had Dragan on once, but that dude kicks
Yeah,
ass.
he's great.
He's
Yeah.
he's super off the chains. He's
Yeah.
super funny.
And then now you got Parker, another Mind Media guy.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
See, a lot of Gophers do well.
Yeah, Edina East.
Guernsey, perfect timing because Sauce is going to do sports. You get to witness this live.
I love this.
It's
yeah.
time for Fan 5 on the Power Trip, presented by All Around Property Preservation.
The Minnesota Vikings battle the 2-4 Rams tonight in LA. Pre-game is at 5. Your Vikings, depending on what website you look at, are between a 2.5 and 3-point favorite. The over-under is 48.5. Blake Cashman will not play again tonight. They got a couple people that are questionable, and we are still kind of waiting on if TJ Hawkinson will play, but I don't think he will.
Why are you guessing no?
I just don't think he will. He's yet to be a full participant in practice. And, Dalton Reiser has been a full participant all week, and I think he might get a shot to play tonight at right guard, maybe. It's a big switch to make on a short week.
No, Guernsey, would you be shocked if they let TJ play? I mean, could you maybe see them?
I've heard they've kicked the tires on Reisner. I've heard they've kicked the tires on him playing, so I'm not sure. There's been dialogue. There's definitely been dialogue between all the sides.
That's more than just talking.
It's
right?
not just conversation.
Yeah.
It's talking, it's conversation, and then it's dialogue, and they've had dialogue.
Brilliant.
So,
Sauce, they've had dialogue, and you still don't think he's going to play.
I don't think he'll play, no.
TJ?
Yeah.
I agree with Sauce.
Yeah. I don't think he'll play.
Being questionable being limited the whole week.
Right. Which was as PA says, could be, limited is it's a loose term in the.
That's true.
It could be he practiced but just didn't do like one drill, right?
Yeah.
Or he could have just stood on the sidelines and warmed up and then not done anything.
Could you just say subterfuge? I just love when you say it.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of subterfuge here.
Did you add a D?
I think so, yeah. But everybody says that the Rams will get Cooper Kupp back tonight.
Yep.
It'll be fun. I can't wait. Thursday Night Football's sweet.
What do you think the score will be?
I think they win by 10.
Really?
Yeah, 31
Do you really?
21. Yeah.
Isn't this like the Rams' last stand, though?
Yeah, I think the Vikings I think they win. This
Zach,
is a
you
big
do
game.
play-by-play. Do your best impression of a touchdown tonight when Al Michaels is on lead vocals. Go.
1st and 10, ball in the 42, 2 receivers left, 1 right.
Is this Howard Cosell? You went back a little too far.
NFL Films guy, is that what it is?
Pass to Jefferson, touchdown, Vikings.
What are you, a beat poetry guy? What are you doing?
Is Al Michaels
Is
Jack
that, is that low energy enough for you?
Al's one of the goats. He just gets ripped now because
Yeah, it's
all of his
over.
touchdown calls are like,
doesn't
and he's
care.
into the end zone, touchdown.
He does not care anymore.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those one of these mob mentality things. I think everyone's being too hard on Al
No,
Michaels.
well, so Sauce hates every broadcaster, right? Everybody's terrible.
Yeah.
I think Al Michaels is one of the all-time greats, and I think
Facts.
his calls now are super professional.
Facts.
They do lack a little energy,
Do they?
so I don't care. It doesn't like ruin the broadcast for me. Where I'm like, I'm not watching.
That
this.
is true. Yeah.
There are people that claim that like it ruins the game. I don't think Al's at that point where I'm like, man, this is like he's not even. He can't finish a sentence. He's finishing every sentence.
Right.
He's doing a great job.
He's doing the nuts and bolts of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just isn't jumping out of the gym when a big play happens and people are like, how about a little excitement? It's like, well, I don't know. He's 90,000 years old.
And do you think some of it is he's annoyed, like a lot of people, that Herb Street's dog gets access to do whatever he wants?
People are super mad about
Well, I
that.
love Herb Street, but
Yeah.
I mean, why is Ben getting a credential?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, the looseness of credentials right now
For real.
is out of
Everybody's
control.
getting one.
Like anybody can just go into the press box now, apparently,
Well, what
and
if
just
you're
hang out and
working?
do whatever they want.
What if you're working?
Well, what is working? I mean, calling in for 4 minutes, or what's working here? I don't understand. But Ben this dog is
It's
everywhere.
Everywhere.
And now he's doing commercials on it. Now he's whoring out his dog.
Yeah,
he's
he's
like,
getting
hey,
a lot of money,
to keep
actually.
Ben fresh on the road, it's like, how about you just leave him at home?
Yeah,
and
leave
then you
him at
don't
home.
need this Purina that you're now throwing on your
Taking
social
Instagram
media.
photos with him.
Yeah,
all the
exactly.
time. Yeah.
How come Muppy doesn't have an endorsement?
I don't
yet?
know. Muppy should have an endorsement.
I agree.
But I would bet that, he gets done with game day, immediately boards a private plane to wherever he's
It's
going.
so good being Herb Street.
Oh,
Did you see that bit of him driving?
Because I would
Yes.
assume after the game
That was
tonight.
kinda cool.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
But I would guess after the game tonight, he gets on a plane and
Yeah.
goes wherever game day is, right?
Yeah.
And then the other private plane takes what's his face back to L.A.
Ben?
No,
Michaels?
No, Michaels, and then he plays, the...
Well, Al's
Beverly
already
Hills
in
Country
L.A.
Club
The game's
tomorrow.
in L.A. today.
Yeah,
No,
but
but
he
you know
takes
what?
a plane to...
Do you think
the other
Hershey
airport?
Yeah.
is getting spread too thin? I wish he just stayed in football college.
No, let him do whatever he wants.
No.
I'm fine with it.
You love him?
You got to
Yeah.
strike
I think he's
with the iron side.
Yeah.
Right.
Someday they're not going to ask.
Yeah, correct. That's the best advice. Someday and it's true.
It's true. Someday
One of
they're not
us.
going to ask.
What do you think of Tom Brady on TV so far?
He's fine. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to be great. Some of it's bad. I'm kind of in the middle of, he needs to close the yearbook a little bit because he talks about when I did this and when I did that. I think the best thing was when he shredded Mayfield when he went after Baker.
Yeah.
Because Baker said, I was here to have some fun. It sounds like it was a stressful environment before, which is total shade at Brady. And Brady's response was, my stress was not winning a Super Bowl. That's what I thought. That's what was stressful for me.
Yeah.
So, but he's fine. It's just, it's not as easy. What people don't understand is they don't, when you did the game for the Big Ten Network, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't go to class for 2 weeks.
No.
And no one tells you what to do. You
Not
just show up and you have to observe and figure it out. And so for former players, I'm sure he asked questions. I'm sure he talked to Aikman. I'm sure he's prepared. But it's not going to be, the problem is they're paying him so much money and they booted Greg Olson. So people are mad about that. And so he needed to be great and he's not. But I think he probably will be.
But didn't we do a story about how he did 50 simulated games?
He did
Where
UFL.
It was a full season.
Yeah.
What league is that? UFL? United Football? Remember that?
USF.
They would go and just probably sit in a suite and do the game like they're broadcasting it.
Yeah.
It's a good way to practice.
Yeah.
He's very intense.
Yeah, he's just not good at it. And I know I'm the only one.
Which broadcasters do you like?
I like.
You like Jack
Collinsworth? I like Noah.
Oh, my
Noah
God.
Eagle is A+. Jack Collinsworth.
We do not need Jack Collinsworth in our
Jack
lives.
Collinsworth is terrible. It would be, and I've said this 1,000 times, it would be like me going to court with my dad. I don't belong there. Jack Collinsworth was so bad they kicked him off the Notre Dame bit. ESPN fired him. He sucks.
Oh, he's that bad?
He's awful.
We just don't. You got to get your reps in. You can't just roll up to NBC.
Do you think your dad could get you into court?
I've
do you
gone
think he
to
gets
see
you
my
a
dad.
pass or something?
Brilliant. Yeah. And then I just sit there. I don't know if there's enough room for me to stand there. I'd probably just, but yeah, I've been to see my dad work. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Jack Collinsworth is terrible.
Who's good? Who do you like?
Noah Eagle.
Noah is good.
Yeah, he's great.
awesome.
And he's
really
a Nepo baby, but he's excellent. But he grinded.
But he did the Syracuse bit. He did obviously
Noah
he
is
skipped some
awesome.
steps, but
Him and Wade for the Olympics were A+.
He's not out of place.
Ian Eagle, his dad is excellent at what he does. The guy that is with Brady is
Burkhardt.
Burkhardt is great. Aikman and Buck are fine. I
love
like.
Buck.
Yeah,
I think Buck's the
Aikman's a
goat.
little bit of I think Aikman's got a little bit just kind of show up and roll the ball out to him because they'll go to him. It looks like he's been up all night.
Correct.
But I just
You like the Kelsey brothers?
no, I hate the Kelsey brothers.
You like the Manning cast?
The Manning cast is trash.
You've
never
never
seen
watched
it.
the Manning cast.
It's terrible.
bad.
It's
You've
bad.
never seen it. It's really good.
I've seen 5 minutes of it. It's not
Okay,
good.
it's really
no,
good.
but hold
That's
on.
the
When they
best.
asked, when Eli, somebody just did a story about Joe Flacco, and it was when did Joe Flacco get hot? Was the story, and Eli brought it up.
Where was that?
I'm not
Calm
sure.
down.
Zach has it on his phone. Zach has the link. He favorited it. But Eli said something like, I can't remember how he said it. Is it flattering or are you annoyed at how ugly you used to be? Or something like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
that's good
pretty
Manning
funny.
cast stuff.
Yeah.
You would like that. I don't know why you like that.
I'm a purist. I like to just watch the game. I don't need to be.
You like Vilma?
No. Vilma's terrible.
Vilma's bad.
Vilma's bad.
Bottom three.
Akeem Talib is
He
not.
was bad.
I like Talib. I mean,
Did you really?
it's a shame about his brother and the shootings. That was an L. Talib was fun because he was like you. He's what I imagined if you went in there and just couldn't believe you were there.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like Cocaine Bear.
But, I rip everything. I will say this. Last week for the Vikings game, I got to sit down with PA and all them in that line that they all sit in.
You had a pass to that?
Pete is incredible. Pete Bursich is a stone cold killer on the broadcast.
He's a Nepo baby.
He just sits there with his hands in his pockets, and he's just a killer.
Here's an example.
He's so good.
When he started 18 years ago, he had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
He just showed up to the game.
Now he's a beast.
Yeah, he's like, no one
good.
told me really what to do.
No.
You got it, and now he's unbelievable.
He's so good.
Let's ask Tom Pelissero who he thinks is a terrible NFL broadcaster. Right after this, Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
The Fan.
The Power Hour Weather is live. KFAN.com/watch is where you can find it. It's all thanks to Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed.
All right, welcome back to the Power Trip Morning Show. Justin Gard is here for a throwback Girdsy Thursday. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
No Lieber today, no Hawk today. They're in Los Angeles because Big Tilt tonight, Thursday Night Football with Al Michaels and Herb Street on the TV call. But, of course, we have it right here on the Fan with PA and Bursich and Lieber. But we also talk every Thursday NFL and Vikings with the great Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. We used to call him .com Tom. Now he's a gigantic deal. Hi, Tom. Good morning.
Can I just make a brief comment on the sequencing of the commercials that I just heard in the last break while waiting to do this spot?
Can't wait.
We go straight from Meat Sauce saying it feels like he's not wearing underwear to walking into a diamond store. There's just something that makes me uncomfortable about the entirety of that scenario. So I'm happy for you guys. You're raking in the cash. You got the sponsorships here. It's just, put some undergarments on before you go in and buy.
Right, I was going to say follow up though. Is there any commercial that could follow Meat Sauce not wearing underwear that would make you comfortable? I mean, it doesn't matter.
It just feels
it's
like
bamboo.
Yeah,
it's bamboo underwear. That you feel like you're wearing anything. I got it. Like, you sold the heck out of that ad.
Thank you.
Just saying, I don't think I want to have that image in my brain. It's
too late. Put that on and then go see my guy Tyler No Guy at Arthur's Diamonds. You'll have a great day.
I'm here for Bell Bank. Yep. Love my people at Bell Bank. Just
feels like you're not even at a bank.
Mortgage. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks to Bell Bank. Tom Pelissero every Thursday on the Power Trip Morning Show. We were just arguing about NFL broadcasters. I don't think you're willing to rip them, but do you think that do you buy into the theory that some people don't watch specific broadcasts because of who is behind the microphone? Do you think that's an actual thing, or do you think people just say that?
I think that there's something to be said for the bad ones you turn away from. I mean, somebody said to me the other day, when the Manning cast began, it was opposite, let's just say, not the greatest booth that's ever been there, not the most acclaimed booth that Monday Night Football has ever had. Then you shell out millions and millions of dollars to go get Buck and Aikman. I don't know what the ratings are. I'm not in any way being critical of ESPN, but I haven't flipped over as much because Buck and Aikman are really, really good. There's definitely, to me, without naming names, there are some announcers whose voices are nails on a chalkboard. I'm sure some people feel the same way about me. So I won't cast aspersions here. But, yeah, I think that there's legitimately something there, because there are definitely announcers who in the past I've been like, I'll watch on mute. I'll have music in. I will flip to an alt cast. Just please, I can't listen to what's on TV right now.
Wow.
But you're not going to name names.
Yeah, but you won't name names.
Without naming names, I think you just figured out what booth I was talking about, so we'll leave it there.
Let's print out a list and we'll just go down and ask name by name and have Tom comment on it.
I think the majority of people who get to that point in their careers are really, really good. There are definitely some where every now and then, it's the sixth booth on a Fox Sunday, and you're like, who am I listening to here? And then magically you never hear them again because other people are also aware that maybe some people are not quite what people want to hear.
Tom, tonight the Vikings are in Los Angeles to take on the Rams. A lot of us are on TJ Hawkinson watch. He is listed as questionable, which probably isn't a good sign considering he's not been a full participant in practice all week. Is there any optimism that he plays tonight?
I would say this, Corey. There's been no formal announcement from the Vikings on the status of TJ Hawkinson. They have until 3 p.m. East or 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific time today to activate him. If I were to make a guess, and it's just a guess, I would say we don't see Hawkinson tonight. We see him make his season debut next week against the Colts. Remember, they opened his practice window on a Friday, which is really unorthodox. The only reason to do that would be you're trying to buy time to get through a Thursday night game 3 weeks from now. So today is day 20 of that 21-day practice window. They don't have to burn additional roster spot. Still possible. Again, they could decide in the next, 7 hours here to elevate him. But if I'm sitting here right now and telling you what I think is going to happen, I don't currently anticipate TJ Hawkinson being out there.
Tom, we've seen a very active trading frenzy with some of these teams. Do you expect that to continue? And do you see, from what you've heard, that the Browns will do basically a full teardown?
Well, the Browns, I think, Sauce, it's fair to say, are listening on a lot of different stuff. I don't know that we're going to see, let's say, a Myles Garrett get traded. But I do believe that they're going to get calls on Myles Garrett. They'll get calls on everybody on the roster just because, once you're trading away Amari Cooper, your top wide receiver, in week 7 or whatever it was, people tend to look at you and think, okay, well, they're willing to listen on just about anything. Then on top of that, Deshaun Watson's out for the season. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's probably not going to be ready to go. So Jameis Winston, who last week was your number 3 quarterback, is now the starter, backed up by Bailey Zappi, who just signed a couple of days ago off the Chiefs practice squad. I think that we'll see teams like the Browns, teams like the Titans, who made 2 trades yesterday. Those teams will continue to get a lot of calls. And I do think that we're going to continue to be active here. I think that the reason that it feels, there have been 6 trades so far, 6 trades total over the past 9 days after there were 0 trades from like October 29th through October 13th or August 29th through October 13th. But it's the fact that these are big names. It's Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams and now DeAndre Hopkins on the move. Those types of deals make people, and not just, the media or fans, it makes owners and GMs. You kind of get that sense like anything's possible here. And there's still enough teams in the wide receiver market when you're talking about teams like the Steelers, potentially the Chargers. We'll see what the Ravens decide to do, although Minnesota guy Rashad Bateman had a good game last week. I think all those teams are still threats to go out and get a wide receiver at a time that players like Cooper Kupp and Mike Williams are still available.
Do you think NFL sack leader Dexter Lawrence will be on the move?
You guys love the Dexter Lawrence.
I'm not saying here, though. I'm not saying here. I'm just saying in general.
There's a lot of Dexter Lawrence, Jeff Simmons questions. I'd say this. The Vikings are certainly going to be in the market for defensive tackle help. Dexter Lawrence is one of the best young players that the Giants have. John Mara, the Giants owner, spoke last night saying, he doesn't anticipate making changes during or after the season. He wants to exercise patience. Trading away one of the NFL's top sack guys, one of the best interior players in the game, probably doesn't fit with continuing to try to build. But I've said it before, there's maybe 2 dozen players in the entire league who don't have a price. If you're willing to, part with multiple first-round picks and go get a guy like that, sure, anything's possible. But do I anticipate right now that Dexter Lawrence or Jeff Simmons gets moved? Probably not.
Tom, when I was reading KFAN.com back in like 2003 and 4, I didn't see a lot of NFL trade steam. It didn't seem like it was a big deal around the deadline. Then I subscribed to the Green Bay Press Gazette while you were there, and it was still the same thing. Not a lot of NFL trade steam. USA Today, same bit. Has it changed where the NFL trade deadline, it kind of feels like baseball and basketball now, where it didn't always used to be that. Have you seen that in your career too?
I appreciate you checking my LinkedIn page before that question.
No, I knew that off the top of my head, man. Long time, first time. Been following you a long time.
Yeah, I do think that's changed, Gertie, in terms of, I think you've got a younger generation of general managers, some of whom probably grew up playing Madden and just have like a different, viewpoint on things. There's more aggressiveness. It's driven in part by the lack of patience. The fact that, you don't have 10 years to build a program. You may have your window right now. And you also have on the flip side of it, with the way that analytics have kind of influenced front office decision making, some more so in some buildings than others over the last 10 years, you have the teams that are not good, plus the trade deadline being later. It's even a week later this year than it was in recent years. It used to be like week 6. It used to be so early you didn't have, teams weren't sure, are we good, are we bad, whatever. Now all of a sudden that trade deadline doesn't come until the Tuesday after week 9. It's basically at the midway point of the season. So teams have a lot more information about what direction they're going. You even could see it's so late now, even though it's still the earliest of the trade deadlines in any major American sport, you can even see some of the teams that were buyers early on potentially becoming sellers depending how things go. I mean, if you're the Jets, you play the Patriots this week, they're probably going to win that. Then they play a Thursday night game against. If they go 1-1 in those games and all of a sudden you're sitting there at 3-6, Are you going to continue to push forward? You might be, or you might be like, you know what? We can get some good value on some of these players. I mean, these are the decisions that you have to make, but it's driven by all those things. New generation of general managers, later trade deadline, and I think that an acknowledgement of the reality that you may think you're building. Well, all of a sudden, if you take a small step back, you might all be fired. Take your shot now, get a known commodity if you're in the mode where you think you can win it all.
Hey, speaking of things going differently than maybe some people thought, is the Vikings, of course, are 5-1. Before the season started, Mark Wolf said that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell's contracts would basically be addressed at the end of the year. Is there a scenario where this gets so good that has to change and they find a way to do that during the season, or do you think the Wolves are going to stand by that?
Well, I mean, the Wilfs have done contract extensions during the season before, but on a pretty limited basis. The last one I remember was when they extended Brad Childress's contract and then fired him less than a year later. Those experiences probably sit in the back of your mind over the course of time of like, what's the urgency? We've got them under contract. But O'Connell, if memory serves, I believe he's on a 4-year deal. So he's going to be, the coaching market has exploded so much that every day that goes by and the team continues to have success, the more expensive it can get. Just to, give you guys a frame of reference here, there's about a half dozen, 5-6 coaches off the top of my head who are making somewhere in the $17+ million per year range. Then there's a whole bunch of coaches that are right around $10-11 million. And then you've got kind of a lot of the first-time coaches who are down at $6-7 million at this point. So for O'Connell, who had an entry-level deal like most head coaches do, his next contract, like probably the aiming point is $15 million plus. Doesn't mean necessarily he's going to get it. But that's where the salaries are going. Certainly, if he makes a playoff run, you would anticipate it's getting up into that range. The Wilfs might want to get a deal done. And I don't have inside information on any talks that are occurring, but they might be trying to get it done at 10-11 million right now. If you're O'Connell and you're super confident in your ability and you're doing this right now without even your first round pick, JJ McCarthy, who's out for the season, you might think, I'll kind of roll the dice here and wait till after the season, and my value is only going to go up. But if they continue to have success through the course of the season, but those next deals are going to be pretty expensive because coaching contracts have exploded so much over the last handful of years.
This is 100% J.J. McCarthy's team next season, right?
I don't think there's anything 100% in this world sauce except for Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be in the AFC Championship game again. There's a lot of different things that can happen here. Remember, J.J., they said it, right? The day after, 2 days after he got hurt, it was, he's shown us enough. We know he's going to be the franchise quarterback for a long time. I recall Kevin O'Connell specifically saying he definitely will be the starter week 1 in 2025. And he may well be. I'm not saying that, that there's setbacks or anything else. The reality is when you're a young football player in the NFL and you miss a substantial amount of time, an entire season, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to kind of work your way back. Sam Darnold is making himself a lot of money if he continues to play at this level. He may be more expensive than what the Vikings are willing to do next season, again, depending how the rest of this season plays out here. But if you're able to get Sam Darnold back at a reasonable price, I would certainly think that you are wide open to doing that. Either way, you're going to need some other veteran to at least be on the roster here because you just don't know. You're going to want to be careful about J.J. McCarthy and how much you're putting on his shoulders right out of the gate. I mean, you go back through time, how many quarterbacks have missed an entire season and come back and instantly looked like themselves? Aaron Rodgers, now he's 40 years old. He looks like a shell of himself right now. And he's beat up, but also like he missed a ton of reps and he's missing throws like we've never seen him miss before. Deshaun Watson in 2021 missed the entire season. There's a lot of different factors and why that hasn't worked out. But, he comes back in 2022 and he's never really fully found that consistency in that player that he was before. I'm not in any way trying to put up a red flag on J.J. McCarthy. I'm just saying, they're going to want to take a very cautious, deliberate approach with J.J. McCarthy, make sure that he's ready to roll and not put themselves in a position where your backup is, no offense to Nick Mullins, but Nick Mullins, and you're like, gosh, we're going to have to just roll him out there week 1 to protect JJ. No, you're thinking you can win right now. And so, let's see. It's going to be JJ's team eventually, but is it week 1, 2025? I think we're still a little bit early to say that.
How much heat did you take for saying on NFL Network that in the movie Mighty Ducks, it was the Ducks who should have been portrayed as the villain and the Hawks actually the sympathetic heroes?
Well, Jamie Erdahl, who's my colleague, she'll be blowing the Galler horn Sunday Night Football against the Colts on November 3rd, which, I sat back and said, where's my turn?
I wondered about that. You've been there longer, right?
I've never gotten the call. I've been in this a long time. Yeah. No one's ever said, do you want to go and,
It's disappointing.
But at any rate, so she asked me something about, do you want to give me a breakdown on the conversation they were having about the 03-04 Breck Mustangs? And I said, I don't know anything about the Brick Mustangs because I wasn't a private school kid.
Right.
Some people like you and me, Guernsey, had to, really grind it out.
Bootstraps.
Public schoolers,
Yep.
On the mean streets of Edina.
Make your
I've
own
done
breaks.
that Mighty Ducks bit. That was not planned. That was just she brought that up, and so it went that direction. But I will always maintain that the Hawks were the true heroes of that movie. Gordon Bombay is a drunk who's only coaching this team because of court-ordered community service.
That's right.
He encourages his kids to cheat. He pulls Adam Banks out of the stable environment with Hawks, comes up with some rule about where the district lines are drawn.
Brilliant.
Away from all his friends. He's trying to get a scholarship.
That was Hans's fault.
Go out there and play with Joshua Jackson and the figure skaters and Fulton, who just punches people and occasionally takes a slap shot. Like, that's not how you advance your hockey career. So I'm not saying that Gordon Bombay was using underhanded tactics, I guess, by the letter of the law, but haven't we all learned that this is youth sports and
Right.
you should have some level of grace and reasonability, that you shouldn't be saying, going in there and slapping down a paper and saying, we're taking away your best player. I just think that, if this were 2024, that movie would be written a little bit differently. The Hawks would be rather sympathetic figures. I think they win it all at the end of that movie.
How often were you called Adam Banks around your travels with the country? Because I've been called it my entire life, basically, wherever I've gone.
People would, I use that because I went to Boston College. I would use that as a frame of reference of like, where are you from? And I would be like, oh, the movie, and then they'd get it, oh, quack, 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 and cake eater and all that stuff. So, yeah, a few times.
Tom, you're the best, dude. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Tom Pelissero, every Thursday on the Power Trip Morning Show, thanks to our friends at Bell Bank. Thanks, Bell Bank. Sauce, every Thursday also the chat is up, right? KFAN.com/watch. Michael's on the chat says, I like how Sauce asks a question and then immediately goes back to watching TV or checking his phone.
What? I'm trying to stay.
He's not the only person here that does that.
No.
Yeah.
No, as long as you're listening.
No, we're over here watching Cheaters on VH1 right now.
You pass the ball,
multitask.
and then it's whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
multitask.
Yeah.
I mean,
Trying to stay updated on the Cowboys over there.
you might
Yeah,
not be
brilliant.
the best example of
No,
being
I'm
able to
not. I
multitask,
cannot
but we all
multitask.
try to multitask from time to time. That doesn't mean you don't
I was
care
listening.
about the
I
answer.
love Tom. Tom's the best.
Unbelievable.
Fan 5 after this, 8 o'clock hour will feature headlines. Is Parker back there? Where's Parker Fox?
Yep, he's down there about to go let him in.
Right on, man. More of the Power Trip Morning Show after this on the Fan.